A gracious good Monday morning to all. This is a very brief recap of our decisions for red, blue, and yellow team. Decisions two, decision number two. There are three now. There's a decision zero, which we inherited. Then there's decision one from last week, and now decision two. Getting ready to do decision three. As we get a little faster with these, as you get used to them, so I'm just going to do a lot of big clips of kind of the white line, lost order inventory, etc. And I'll be continuing to post in Halo other results for the rest of this week. Please try for decision three to get together early this week. This should be Monday morning when you're watching this. I the Sunday night, in addition to Saturday and Sunday getting all the visuals together for you, I also have to wait until midnight Sunday to finally grade your participation because that's after midnight. So hopefully everybody has finished their participation, which is just, making comments on the posts as well as on the sim. So let's jump right into this. First of all, you can see on the announcements here that I've done already as of last Sunday night, the some results of some top line results of what happened in terms of this is what we inherited. You can see that these on the bottom, these are very even. Everyone is exactly the same. We inherit the same turnaround company. And then we can see what happened in decision one and decision two and do some better, worse comparisons. That's been done for you a little bit with a recap here on top. And then on the bottom here, we have the standings. Red improved their number one position, and blue and yellow are now neck and neck, tied for number two. The graphs will show that yellow pulled a little bit ahead of number two in blue because of the weighting of the what's important in the sim in terms of the financials. But you'll see in the summary here that what happened in terms of minimizing having the least loss of EBIT, which is typical because the low cost and the eco, always says Evo here, I got the typo, but low cost and eco lines are still loss leaders because they don't start growing until, as it shows you in the cheat sheet and the student guide and the strategy guide, until decisions three and four, they come into their own. But still, everyone's doing good. You can see in family and image, those are we haven't, other than in, we had some positive results actually in family. What happens usually, but family's been a problem for yellow, although less, you can see less of a problem. Yellow kind of stopped the bleeding in family and did better, but didn't poke into positive territory. Red's doing, losing a lot. We were losing a lot in eco, as everyone does. And you can see that now red has done much better of a little worse, a little better here. It's just this is smaller, but it's about the same in terms of stopping the bleeding there. And yellow still has got a little bit of a problem going on in eco, but that's a very hard line to go. And you'll see in the summary here, it also shows you that you can do great in revenue and still show a loss. And, depending on leverage and depending on lost orders over inventory, which we'll look at. So I'm going to jump into just snapshots. You can take pictures if you want to analyze these, take a look at them, save them for later for your final presentations, final papers, etc. as we get through the rest of these decisions. This coming week is going to be Hump Week at the center of decision three, and then we only have two left, four and five after that. So this is a very important decision. You've all got your wings. We're figuring out how to do this now. So it's working very well, and we're understanding the sliders, moving on, and especially you'll see how some of us did better fixing the production this time, which is always bad the first time, but there's some others that still need to be changed and helped out. So this, of course, is the bigger summary, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time. We you can see them on Halo, but uh, this is also just to give you snapshots of what's going on with each of the lines financially, so you can take a screenshot of these for your final papers, or just see the progress that's going on. That should be low cost. That's low cost. Here's family, and we can see where there's interesting things going on, like with yellow in sales demand percent. This just it's much more. This is where we should be doing a lot better in terms of family because it's our cash cow. Ecos always initials. You're going to see a lot of red ink in there. People over marketing. Red's doing better here because they're not overspending in marketing on what the, and we'll see in the white line what's happening. Why are we overspending or underspending with the white line? Trying to set us back to the white line again. And our flagship that everyone's doing great in is our image line. So again, you can take screenshots, analyze those as much as you want, stop the video or pause the video and, you know, get into that. So we will now jump over to lost orders over inventory, our favorite, and, comparing kind of what happened with EBIT and why was it supply and demand issues. And then we'll close with the white lines for each of the teams. So here we have lost orders over inventory for low cost. And everyone did really well in terms of better, worse improvement in low cost. The red, we'd like to have seen that, it stayed a little more stable in terms of inventory build. We're still building a little inventory there, but which is fine. We're marketing. Blue is absolutely a champion. Look at this. Look at this line in terms of blue. They've really figured out how to match supply and demand. So we look at their supply and demand, their white lines, and what they're doing in terms of budget with the production budget. When we get to those, there are people that we should really emulate. Yellow improved. They stopped the bleeding and kind of started moving in the upward direction in terms of lost orders. But then, yellow still in low cost is doing a lot of revenue, working on the revenue and doing a great job working on the revenue. But then they are with the revenue, they are also not making enough, and so you're losing the orders. We're getting all those orders with the revenue, but we can't. The sales aren't there. We're not delivering them, so that's still a bit of an issue. Although it's been improved. Family should be our flagship, and this is where Yellow's had an issue. Again, they approved that again. It's almost flat, but they're starting to improve it again, we want the trends on building inventory to be flat here so that we want to continue to we're producing and doing well, but in terms of revenue, we're not number one and number two. So we've got two different types of problems with uh, that we need solutions with red and blue. Blue's a little flatter, and this is not too bad in terms of the zero line. Red is building inventory there, which means, we are producing well, but we need to continue to increase demand with red. But they are the leader, and they're doing well because they're being conservative and not making big changes, not overspending. And when you look at the leverage numbers, you'll see that blue and yellow are using more debt. And when we look at the actual financials, uh, as far as I can tell, no one's jumped into a government loan yet, but we can look at that and I'll show you how you know if that happened or not. Let's look at eco-friendly. Eco-friendly, again, is kind of a interesting. Blue has got great trends here, learning how to match supply and demand in all the lines. And it's interesting that red and yellow have kind of different problems here. Red's still our leader and yellow's doing well. They improved a lot. But you can see they are pushing the eco line, but not making enough. They got a little bit worse there where they turned and all the other lines around. And blue, had a little bit build up of lost orders. They didn't quite make enough, but they were close. And finally, our flagship image, which is, this is surprising for last week because Blue really has built a lot of inventory in image, and they have made a try to build a flywheel strategy, whereas yellow and red are absolutely, I mean, Blue would be a clear close to number one, but since yellow and blue are tied, what can you say? They're both teams are doing great. They're a little bit of increase in lead by red, but yellow and blue are still doing great. They're neck and neck, tied for number two. So there really is not a one, two, and three. Although if you look at the graph, it looks like yellow, because of this situation in image with blue building inventory, their inventory numbers tip that even though both numbers are at 13. They still have to pick a winner, one, two, and a three. So even though they're tied, they switch places, and because of this in blue slipped a place not by any points, but just tiny bit on the metrics in terms of image. So now we will jump over into the white lines and then close with taking a look at production. Here's red and low cost, not taking a lot of risk, backing these down off the initial five, but keeping them fairly flat. These should start to jock around for for decision three and four. We can't leave these all the same because this starts to come into its own low cost. So there has to be a little bit of tweaking, but I mean, who can criticize Red's number one? They're doing great. And look at how close this is. The only, what do we have? Technology here? I can't see this. Yeah, technology. So technologies the only thing where we underspent a little bit because, yes, low cost does like technology, but it's easy to build too much CapEx by doing too much of that. So you have to be careful. But obviously doing really well in that and neck and neck on that. A little bit underspending in the line, but they're not focusing on it. Let's look at family. This should be our real profit maker line here. And it's kind of, again, very flat here. And in family, there are do things they do like better in terms of less consumption, which they got that right. But in terms of overall spend, they could be investing, Red could be investing a little more. But again, they're our leader. They're doing great. But they could close this gap a little by pushing some of these, but not others. You have the cheat sheet and the strategy guide. I won't give it all away. Eco-friendly, again, really nice match. Kind of keeping it the same but less to spend less money, and then seeing that knowing that technology is important for eco as well as, of course, you got to look at consumption there, and everybody moves up on consumption. Let's see how it should be a little bit below. Where it comes, yeah. So we're a little bit below there, but it's still doing great. We know that that is a bump, and you have to come up there, both on technology and consumption. And finally, our flagship for everyone, image. Great match. Really understanding what's going on there. Overspending a little bit, but they're making it a flagship, and that's perfectly appropriate because this will actually bring this white line up because everyone kind of did that. So I won't give as much analysis on the other ones. You can just take shots of this, see what's going on there, and then towards the end of the course, let next few weeks build how this changed in your final presentations, final papers to say, here's where we were, here's where we went, here's how the results of our decisions in terms of especially sort of over inventory and how that drove production. Boot team in low cost can see where the problems are. Family, really good match. Low cost problem, family not. Eco-friendly, not bad. And not over investing in it. Now the most important one, image, look at that. Oh, yeah, here we have, yeah, consumption. I think we mentioned this last time too. Number of models and consumptions are tough. You have to really, because if you spend too much on them to meet the market need, you're going to have a high capex. It's going to be tough on the production side, on the supply side. But this is way, way too low for our flagship line. That's just, and, well, we can look, well, it's not, budget will show you, mostly that's just what's going on with price, and it's probably stayed the same with our forecast. Yeah, 120 and 120. So let's jump to yellow. Low cost, investing to drive that revenue, which is number one in revenue, getting the sales, getting it going, but over engineering to get it to an extent. So you can see those percents. They want 100%. You're doing 200%, and some of them of what they want. But this is a great profile. Yellow is really getting how this sim works by trying different things where they have different rhythms on what the customer wants. This is how awesome. Very good. Take a picture and remember this for your final papers. Family, one of our two flagships. Again, Elo's making a major commitment to investing in these lines with an all portfolio and could really build a flywheel um, by matching the supply and demand where they are losing orders by not making enough because they're generating so many orders. Eco-friendly is excellent. And then image is, there's a little bit of crossing over wavy going on here. When that happens, it's kind of like, what's with the strategy guy? But, no criticism. These are very close. I think we're off a little on design. What is our first one? Yeah, there's design. So we could have a little bit of more of an investment. You can see that's at four, should probably be at six. But again, not bad. You can see where again, yellow has a history of really going for it. There's nothing wrong with going for it. It makes your job more sensitive in terms of production, but it's like let's not leave our money sitting in the bank. Let's go make it work for us. Okay, now the when we see all three in terms of our cash flow, the the current cash, when you see our previous cash and our current, when you see 19,000 and 1899, that is a signal that because the leverage is up, you can see it went up to 50%. It should be 50 in all three with these three. Yeah, it's 50. Where's our leverage? Now that's Asia on quality. Let's see, total loans. Here's our leverage. It should be near 40 to 50. Okay, yeah, so we've got 44, 42, and 43. We're almost the same in all three um, teams got government loans. When you see 19,000, 18,000, in addition to the 2,000, you picked up a government loan uh, of 32, 30, 17, but then yellow did not. Yellow, the leverage is still up there, but they didn't need that extra loan. So those, when you see either 19 or 1899, and then you look below it and see there's an additional loan, that means got into a little bit of cash trouble and had to borrow from the government, which then gets paid back and as you do well. So again, this is not a sim where leverage is going to kill you because it wants you to invest back in your lines. And if you need the cash and you're doing to stay number one like Red did, that's great. They don't want to see it sitting in the bank at 8% if you're making 10%. So that's just a one last kind of look at how this is working in terms of the the overall look of the cash and cash flows. And we'll see that in the budget later too. I appreciate your time and we'll see you in Handle in class. And as I always say, text me, message me, call me. I love working with you. If you have any issues or problems or questions, let me know. And Happy New Year.